In this video, I'm going to review this 2000 watt, 1500 watt hour portable power station and these flexible 200 watt solar panels by AllPowers. Okay, so let's check what's in the box real fast. First thing we see is a warranty activation packet, probably the owner's manual. Yep, owner's manual and activating the warranty. It's well packed. Start over here. So we have what looks like a little bag, or maybe a cover. Oh, it's a cover. Yeah, so a little dust cover there. Maybe protect it for a lot little rain came. And over here we have I'm assuming the cable bag. And there's no brick, there's no charge brick, so that's good. First cable I get is car charge port to XT60. So you can charge from your car, I guess. And your AC cord, input cord, so that's good. No charge brick. And XT60 to MC4, so you can charge with solar panels, AC, or your car. Okay, let's take a closer look here at the inputs and outputs. Let's start on the back. Okay, so on the back, all we have is the AC input, and that will allow for up to 400 watts of AC charging. And supposedly you can charge under 4 hours from 0 to 100% with AC. And yes, you can use AC and solar input at the same time to charge up to 900 watts. And supposedly you can do that, given perfect sun conditions, you can charge down to as low as 1.6 hours. I think solar charging alone you can do in under 3 hours, maximum 500 watt input. So back to the front. So we have your 4 AC outputs across the top, which you have to turn on with the AC button. And we'll check the voltage on that in just a little bit. And let's go over to the DC side over here. We have the car output up to 10 amps. We have 2 USB-C up to 100 watts. And we have what my understanding is 2 USB-A 2.0 and 2 USB-A 3.0 quick charge. And if you notice, there is no barrel inputs on this one. So if you're used to those 5521 barrel outputs, then this unit does not have that. I personally don't use those. Let's see, what else? Oh, and there's no wireless charging on the top. Some people like, some people don't care. I personally don't use that. I know a lot of people do though. So the power button, which actually this unit's already turned on. As you see, it's illuminated. If you just quick press it, it shows that. But you have to long press it for 3 seconds to turn it on or off. So I just press it for 3 seconds. Now let's do it again and it'll turn back on. The screen does time out, I think, after 30 seconds, I believe. Okay, so next to that is your AC button. Now long pressing that turns on your AC outputs across the top, those 4, and you'll hear the fans kick on. It kicks on the fans for 2 seconds and then turns off. Now the AC inverter's running, and there's a little AC icon there that shows that the AC is on. And so then you have your, well, for 3 seconds again turns the AC off. So let's do that, 3 seconds. Now the AC is off. The DC is a little different. The DC button, to turn on DC and turn off DC, you short press it. And what it does, if you long press it for 3 seconds, it turns on and off Bluetooth. So let's turn this first for 3 seconds and we'll turn the Bluetooth on. You'll see a little icon show up right there. See if I can zoom in, show that. Now it's showing you the IoT and then Bluetooth is on. And if you want to turn it off, you just long press again and the IoT symbol goes away. Now that means you cannot use the mobile app right now. And some people may like that. They may think, hey, great, I'll never turn that on. I do, however, like to use the mobile app, and I'll go over that in just a few minutes. And then over here to the right, we have your XT60 input. Now that's for car charging and solar charging. Solar charging is 12 to 70 volts with a max of 18 amps input. AllPowers has been making portable power stations for roughly 2 years now. This is their upgraded version 2.0 of the S2000. If you've not heard of AllPowers before, they are mostly known for their affordable foldable solar panels like this 140 watt one I have here. I've had that for about a year, and it's been performing very well. They also make flexible solar panels now. AllPowers was kind enough to send me this S2000 and two of their 200 watt flexible panels for me to review. I'll be looking at those later. Okay, so let's talk about the S2000 power station. As in its name, S2000, it has a 2000 watt continuous output inverter with a 4000 watt surge capacity. It has a 1500 watt hour battery storage capacity. AllPowers has a few in the range there of 400 watt output inverters up to 4000 watt inverters. So this one's kind of in the middle. I'm going to stick the dimensions and the weight of this unit up on the screen for you to take a look at. The battery chemistry on the S2000 is what they call ternary lithium battery. That just basically means it's a lithium NMC battery, nickel, manganese, cobalt. They're very common batteries. You'll find them everywhere in power tools, electric cars, and also other top brand name power stations like this. But from what I've seen, the majority of the new portable power stations in the market today have lithium iron phosphate batteries. Now, AllPowers makes those also. But the difference between lithium NMC and lithium iron phosphate is too much to talk about in this video. You could dedicate a whole video to that. So just to highlight a couple of things, though, to point out. The lithium NMC batteries are considered to be lighter. Lithium iron phosphate, they have a longer lifespan, and they're considered safer. But I encourage you to do your own research and figure out which battery chemistry is right for you. Now, these batteries do have a BMS, which stands for Battery Management System, which is basically a little computer board inside that constantly monitors for several conditions, and when that happens, it'll shut down the battery if necessary. Now, regarding the lifespan of this battery, AllPowers claims 2,500 life cycles to 80% capacity. Now, that's more than double the lifespan claimed by other manufacturers with the same battery chemistry. I have no way to test that. It would take years of me charging it and discharging it every day for down to 0 and back to 100 for 7 years. I can't do that. For those of you new to life cycle counts of batteries, maybe you've not heard of that before, basically that just means that this S2000 can be discharged all the way down to 0 and charged back to 100% every day for 2,500 days, while still having 80% of the rated capacity. Now that's 7 years. Now, I doubt that anybody would actually do that in a real life situation for 7 years every single day. If I was just to come up with a number, I would say maybe 50 life cycle charges per year from 0 to 100%. That seems like a more reasonable number for something that, in my case anyway. So, but if you're based on the AllPowers claims of 2,500 life cycles to 80% capacity, if you only did 50 cycles a year, you could use this for 50 years before it got down to 80% the original capacity. Okay, so let's say you're skeptical and maybe you think 2,500 is just way too much. Okay, let's just say half of that. So half of that's 25 years. So if you do 50 discharges to 0 and charge back to 100% a year, this will last 25 years. That's a long time for something like this. Okay, so the very first test I ran was the DC battery capacity test. And when that completed, it came in at 1,127 watt hours out of the stated 1,500, which is about 75% of the battery capacity. So that's not a very good turnout. So I recently learned about, well, maybe the BMS needs to, calibrate. So I charged it back up again, and I ran a second test. So after the second DC battery capacity test, we came in at 1133, only slightly better. And that's still in around 75% capacity. And so that's definitely below industry average. I think a 1,400 watt hour would be a more accurate way to describe the S2000. We're going to see if it's regulated. So I've got the battery capacity tester plugged into the car charge port, which is regulated at 12 volts, 10 amps. So we should be able to watch the battery capacity tester here and draw 10 amps. And we're at 12.5, so it's rated at 12 amps even. So if it drops below 11.5, it's not regulated. So let's pull 10 amps. 10 amps. So it's holding 11.8. I saw 11.9, so let's just say 11.8. So that is less than half a volt below rated capacity. So it appears that this is regulated DC power. The AC output voltage is 112, and we are showing a pure sine wave at 60 Hertz. Okay, so we're all charged up, getting ready to start the AC battery capacity test. The watt meter there is upside down. I'll correct that in the end and show you the readout. It's zeroed out, and let's plug it in and start the tests. The AC battery test is complete, and we came in at 1.02 kilowatt hours, or 1020 watt hours, and that is 68% of rated capacity. It's not a good number. Okay, I'm going to do some AC testing here. I'm going to start with a load. I've got one outlet plugged into this space heater here, which on low it will draw about a little over 700 watts. And then I have another one plugged into this DeWalt miter saw there that draws about 2400 watts on startup, and then maybe 1300 after that. So let's zoom in here so we can watch this. Now that display is a little slow. That watt meter is not really fast to pick up, so you may not see the spikes. Let's start with turning on the space heater on low. Okay, we'll start ramping up here. The fan's cut on. Should top out a little over 700. Okay, 735. Okay, now I'm going to hit the miter saw and let it run for just a bit. Okay, that held that very well. Okay, now I've turned the heater up to high, and let's see if it'll handle the miter saw on top of that. So now we're drawing just off the space heater over 1400 watts. So let's hit the miter saw now. Okay, that overloaded it as I expected it to. But that was quite impressive though. It actually started it up and held it for just a little bit, then it overloaded and shut us down. Okay, let's do a little AC load test for 10 minutes. I have this space heater here, draws around 700 watts, and this oil floor heater here that draws about 1300. So we're going to try to draw close to 2000. Let me zoom in and get the time and this in the same shot. And let's kick on the floor heater first. Let's go ahead and start the timer, and we'll kick the space heater on low. Excuse me. Okay, so we're ramping up. And it faulted. I saw it get up too high there. Alright, so now I'm going to run only one of the burners on the oil heater, and then we'll put this one on low. Let's see how this goes. We're climbing. Okay, let me crank up the space heater to high, see what that does. 1800, 2000, and it shut us off. Okay, I believe I found something here that's going to give us right at 2000. I've switched out the space heater with the heat gun, and I'm going to use both burners on the oil heater on the floor there, and I've set the heat gun, and hopefully this time will get us right at 2000. So we can zoom in, we can see all this together here. And let's start the oil heater on the floor. Okay, there goes the fans. Kick on the heat gun. Start the timer. Right at 2000. Okay, before I turn everything off, I'm going to just check the voltage here. And that's DC. You can see that 111.6. I did perform a refrigerator test. It did power my garage refrigerator, and the garage was about 75 degrees. I ran it overnight, and it powered my refrigerator for 14 hours. Okay, I'm charging the unit on AC only, and I'm only getting 377 watts out of the 400 stated. And let's see, the fans are fully going, and let's just see how loud this unit is at 1 meter away. Around 44, 45 decibels, that's not bad at all. Before I test charging with solar, I wanted to talk a little bit about these solar panels in this kit. These are the two SF200 Flexible Solar Panels, AllPowers sent. Here's a shot of the specs on the back of the panel. As you can see here, they are 200 watt monocrystalline panels, and they have that honeycomb ETFE coating, which is very durable. You can charge the S2000 power station with just one of these panels, no issue. But if you want to use both of these panels together for 400 watts, you will need to wire these in parallel. They each have an open circuit voltage of 38.4 plus or minus 5%, which means you can't wire these in series while using it with the S2000. You could damage it. The S2000 can only accept up to 70 volts and 18 amps, and if you wire these in series, you will go over 76 volts, and that could damage it. The S2000 can also only accept a max of 18 amps. So by wiring the panels in parallel, that will double amps, but it will only be up to around 15 amps, which is within the 18 amp limit. When you order the same kit with two panels included, they do include the Y branch connectors here in order to wire them in parallel. These panels are IP68 water resistant. It did rain once while I had these out for testing, and there were no issues from that. They still work. These panels are 54 by 30 inches, and they weigh 9 pounds each. As you can see, they are quite flexible. They are a great choice for RVs or roofs, campers, trailers, boats, cabins, sheds, any unlevel surface. They can be also just hung up with the straps. I put these panels out once during a partly cloudy late afternoon day, and they weren't facing the sun perfectly, but I did get a max once up to about 380 watts for a short period. In partly cloudy skies, I'm seeing it jump around, but I've seen it close to 400, but didn't quite make it up to 400. Right now we're pulling even 321 out of 400 possible watts. That's at AC charging. These two solar panels came in individual boxes, but they were taped together as one unit. And each box came with a owner's manual, a set of MC4 to XT60 to connect to the S2000, and then 8 Velcro straps that connect in the metal grommets. And then one box had these branch Y connectors here to wire the panels in parallel. So let's take a quick look at the mobile app. There is a QR code in the owner's manual to download the Android or Apple mobile app for this. Once you open it, this is the screen you'll see here. It just basically is a screen to add a Bluetooth device or Wi-Fi device. Of course, this is a Bluetooth device. That's 2000. And down at the bottom, there's a home and a me. And the me is a section where you can actually create an account login if you want to do that. I'm not going to show you that, but we're going to click on Add Bluetooth Device. And when you do that, you see this screen here. That's just basically telling you to turn on your Bluetooth on your phone, and then make sure you enable Bluetooth on the S2000, as I showed you how to do that with a long press on the DC button. And once you click next, you will see this screen. It'll scan and look for the device, and after the scanning icon goes away, you can now click on the S2000 and it'll connect, and here's the screen it will show you. It will show you the percentage of battery remaining and the time in hours and minutes and days, and it will show you the inputs and output wattages, and I just happened to capture here some of the best solar. In this case here, it's solar input and AC charging at the same time. But as you can see, is up over 700 here, so that's some of the best solar input I was getting while I was testing this mobile app. I'm not using anything currently to show output watts, but you can do pass-through charging on this, so you can charge and use it at the same time. You can turn DC on and off and AC on and off, and then at the bottom here that you can switch to 50 megahertz if you're overseas, but in the United States you of course want to leave that at 60 hertz. And if you click the little ellipsis in the top right, there's a settings menu, which really the only thing you can do in here is change the name of the device and nothing else. So as you can see, this app doesn't have a lot of the features some of the top names in this space has, but it does have the very basics, and it does work. So here are my final thoughts. Let's start with the negatives first. The first one is that the rated battery capacity test was below industry standard range. The DC battery capacity test came in at 75% of rated capacity, and the AC battery capacity test came in at 68%. The very bottom of industry standard is about 80% of rated capacity. If you noticed, the DC capacity test completed, the battery percentage remained all the way down to 0. When the AC capacity test completed, the remaining battery percent was 5%. In the owner's manual, they do explain this. It mentions that in order to prolong the battery life, it does not allow AC output for the last 10% of the battery, and it does not allow DC output for the last 5%. So that's 5% difference from what I experienced in my capacity test. I saw that the AC power stopped at 5% and DC stopped at 0. So on all these portable power stations have reserve capacity, so the BMS and other functions can continue to work while you can't use the power. But because if they really had 0%, the unit wouldn't function at all. So that's what I believe is going on here. I believe the owner's manual is just explaining this last 5% capacity is being reserved, but the S2000 is not displaying it on the screen, which does make sense. It's best to not confuse the customer and show 5% remaining, but yet the AC and DC will not work. But the S2000 does show 5% battery capacity remaining, and the AC won't work, and that will be confusing. So I can't explain that other than AllPowers mentions that it is done to prolong the battery life. If you do add that 5% extra reserve to the AC battery capacity test I did, you do get up there close to 75%, the same as the DC capacity test I performed. The next negative is that the LCD screen readings had some minor issues that bothered me. One was that the watt meter is slower to update than what I'm used to on other power stations. In some cases, it was normal response time. Others, it was very slow. For example, when I unplugged the solar charging from the XT60 port, it would take somewhere around 10 seconds to even recognize that and then update the display. When you remove the AC charging cable also from the back, it also was very slow to update, but not that slow. Another thing was the numeric battery capacity reading. When I first charged it on AC, it got all the way up to 100, and then it sat at 100% and continued to charge for a long time. I didn't time it, but it felt like it was almost an hour before it finally finished charging. That was a little annoying. I did notice after that, after several discharges and recharges, that it got a little better. The last time I charged it, I think at 99%, it started to slow way down, and the wattage starts dropping that it draws, and then it went to 100%, but it still was longer than I expected, but shorter than before. Also, when I was discharging an AC at a rate of about 400 watts, it would also sit at 100% for a long time. And I'm certain that the battery was not at 100%, but it stayed at 100%, and finally it would drop to 99 and then start dropping normally. Another negative is that there is no way to update the firmware on the S2000. I did confirm that with AllPowers. From my experience, when there are little minor quirks like I just mentioned, you can fix that with a firmware update, but you can't do that since you can't update the firmware. You just get what you get with this unit. And that's about all the negatives I had before I move on to the positives. But I do have a few comments that may be negatives for some of you, but for me they're just neutral comments. For the first comment, I'm not sure what was going on here, so I just want to mention it to you in case you experience it. But one day when I was charging solar, and it was towards the end of the day, I come in here and the S2000 was clicking, and it sounded like the MPPT charge controller. When I plug it in or pull it out, it was a click. and it was clicking over and over like every couple of seconds. And what I believe was going on, it was at the end of the day, and the sun was down, and it was right at the very bottom of the input range of amps and voltage, and I think it was just clicking on and off because it was right in that range there. And so I don't think that's really a problem, but I did want to mention it. And the days following that, when I did solar charging, it continued to work just fine. Just a couple of other items I'll point out. The S2000 does not have capability to expand the battery capacity. It doesn't have those barrel plugs like 5521s. It doesn't have wireless charging on top. It doesn't have UPS feature. None of those are bad, negatives. They just are some common features that people are looking for that this unit doesn't have. Now for the positives. I would say that I was impressed with the AC output on this unit. I was running that space heater, as you saw, and it was pulling in over 700 watts. And then I was able to run my miter saw, and with no issues at all. Recently, I tested two different manufactured inverters, 2,000 watt inverters, same as this unit, and they would not run the miter saw at all. It wouldn't even start it. It would just make a little noise and it would set off the inverter. So, and they didn't have any load at all at the time. So, also the inverter on this unit shut down when it should have, when I got over 2,000 for a few seconds. But it did obviously handle the surge, because the miter saw took the surge to over 2,000. But there was a short period of time. But if you go over for more than a few seconds, it did shut us down. Another positive, that the AllPowers offers a 5-year warranty on the S2000. A 5-year warranty on portable power stations is usually, you see that only in the top name brands in this space. I believe the solar panels only have a 2-year warranty, but I'm not 100% sure of that. The S2000 does have Bluetooth. You can control it with a mobile app. Just basic features, but it works. The 200 watt SF200 Flexible Solar Panels also, they work well, performed as expected. This, as I mentioned when I started the video, the S2000 it's a brand new updated 2.0 version. I couldn't find what those improvements are, but I was watching some older reviews of the first version of this unit, and I did hear a lot of complaints about the fan noise. And as you saw, the fan noise at 1 meter away was only 46 decibels, and that's pretty good. So I think they improved that. One dead giveaway between the old version and this version is that the power button, you hold a long press, and that's how you turn on DC. That's how you turn on Bluetooth with the first unit. On this unit, it's the DC button. So I think that's one dead giveaway, but to know the difference between the older version and the newer version. I took the S2000 around my property and used it for various things here and there, power some tools and such, and it worked fine with no problems. I have no issues with this unit at all. If you are fine with those issues I mentioned, I covered earlier, this could be a very good, affordable choice for you. So let's talk about price. Well, before I do that, I'll mention that I do have a coupon code or discount code down in the description that saves 10% off of the prices I'm about to quote you. This kit that AllPower sent me, the S2000, these two panels, is offered amongst many different kits with different panels and things, but right now it's selling for $11.99, and of course you get 10% off of that. They also have a kit with just one of the panels instead of two, and then if you want to just get the S2000 by itself, that's $7.99, $6.99 after the discount. So after my discount, the S2000 just by itself is about 48 cents a watt hour. That's an outstanding value. So what about the low battery capacity? Well, if you pretend that this had 1,400 watt hours instead of 1,500, that's about 50 cents a watt hour. That's still an outstanding value. Even at 1,300 watt hours, it's an outstanding value. So from what I've seen in the industry, its average is around 70 cents a watt hour. It'd be difficult to find a better value than this. So if you're looking for a budget-friendly portable power station like this, but not looking for solar panels, or you just want to look for some different solar panels, like I mentioned, they have different kits and different combinations on their website. I'll leave the links below to what I have here, and I really appreciate you staying around to the end of this video. If you enjoy the videos I'm making, the best way to help my channel is to hit that like button and subscribe if you're not already. Thanks for watching.